Hello friends. There's something irresistibly intriguing about the pairing of a Cancer man and a Gemini woman. On paper, they're as different as a cozy seaside cottage and a bustling downtown loft. One thrives on emotional security and sentimental bonds, the other feeds on intellectual stimulation and ever-changing horizons. Yet, when these two come together, the story isn't simply about opposition, it's about the delicate dance between stability and spontaneity. Let's take a deep dive into their chemistry, emotional dynamics, long-term potential, and more, so we can truly understand the unique magic and challenges that arise when the Cancer man meets the Gemini woman in love. Chemistry. Initial attraction. At first glance, their attraction is not just electric, it's like the meeting of two entirely different climates colliding in a burst of lightning, wind, and rain, creating an atmosphere charged with possibility. The Cancer man, a creature of instinct and feeling, usually moves through the world with a kind of guarded caution. He reads people quietly, takes his time before showing his true self, and rarely allows anyone into the tender center of his emotions without a long period of observation. And yet, when he sees the Gemini woman for the first time, something inside him bypasses that careful protocol. She arrives in his life like a sudden gust of warm summer wind in early spring, carrying with her the scent of adventure and the promise of change. There's an unmistakable shimmer to her presence. The Gemini woman doesn't just walk into a room, she appears as if she's been part of its energy all along, instantly syncing with the rhythm around her. Her smile is quick and bright, her laughter a melodic sound that turns heads without effort. She speaks with agility, words flowing like water over polished stones, smooth, quick, always moving. Each anecdote she shares comes alive with her gestures, her eyes darting with the excitement of telling a story that matters in that moment. The Cancer man finds himself leaning in without even realizing it, caught up in the cadence of her speech, the sudden shifts from humor to thoughtfulness, the way she can spin an ordinary detail into something captivating. For a man who tends to remain on the sidelines until he feels safe, her magnetic energy is both thrilling and disarming. She makes him feel seen without demanding his full vulnerability right away. It's not that she tries to pull secrets out of him, it's that her warmth makes him want to share them voluntarily. Her curiosity about the world is contagious, and before long, he finds himself opening up about things he rarely discusses, almost surprised at how natural it feels. She is, in his eyes, a burst of oxygen in a closed room, filling him with the kind of breath he didn't know he was holding back. The Gemini woman, on the other hand, experiences a different kind of pull toward him. Her life is often a series of rapid connections, meeting people who flash brightly but fade quickly. She enjoys variety, thrives on conversation, and navigates through social circles with ease. Yet the Cancer man is different. His calm presence feels like a harbor, steady, unmoving, protective, and in that stillness, she senses a depth that intrigues her. His eyes hold a kind of listening that goes beyond politeness, they seem to gather her words and keep them safe. He doesn't rush to speak, doesn't try to outshine her stories, instead, he gives her space to be fully herself while anchoring the moment with his quiet attention. When they talk, the differences in their styles become the very thing that fuels their connection. She moves from topic to topic like a bird hopping between branches, her curiosity leading the way. He follows thoughtfully, answering in ways that bring her to pause, forcing her to savor each moment instead of skipping ahead. It's a dance of tempo, her quickness, his slowness, and the beautiful in between where they meet. Each gives the other something their souls quietly crave. She infuses his world with color and movement, he grounds hers with meaning and focus. Their very pacing in life becomes a source of fascination. The Cancer man tends to approach love like he's tending a garden, preparing the soil, planting seeds carefully, waiting for roots to take hold before expecting blooms. The Gemini woman loves the thrill of a sudden downpour that transforms the landscape overnight. In theory, these approaches should clash. Yet, instead of friction, there's intrigue. He marvels at her ability to find excitement in the simplest things, to turn an ordinary Tuesday into an unexpected journey. She admires his capacity to slow her down just enough to notice the small, tender details she might otherwise overlook. To outside observers, they may seem like the textbook case of opposites attract, a charming whirlwind meeting a grounded anchor. But beneath that easy label lies something more intimate. They're not merely fascinated by each other's differences, they're connecting over deep, unspoken needs. The Cancer man, despite his love for routine and emotional safety, harbors a quiet yearning for someone who can lift him beyond his comfort zone and remind him that life is bigger than the walls he's built. The Gemini woman, despite her independence and restless spirit, dreams, though she rarely admits it, of someone who will stay, someone whose loyalty is unwavering no matter how far she roams. In each other, they find these longings reflected and fulfilled. The chemistry here is not the gradual warmth of a slow-building fire. It's the crackle of contrast, the thrilling snap of static just before a lightning strike. It's unpredictable, impossible to ignore, and powerful enough to make them both take risks they wouldn't normally take. Even in the earliest stages, there's an unspoken agreement between them. Whatever this is, it's worth exploring. And so, in the beginning, attraction becomes its own secret language. It's in the lingering look he gives her across the room, in the way her voice softens when speaking directly to him, in the subtle shift of their bodies leaning closer without conscious thought. It's in the hours-long conversations that neither meant to have, the playful teasing that carries an undertone of something deeper, the shared glances that say, "I see you in a way no one else does." These moments may look small to the outside world, but to them, they are the map points of a connection still being charted. What keeps them coming back isn't just excitement, it's recognition. They see in each other something rare, not a perfect mirror, but a complementary shape that makes the other more complete. That recognition plants a seed of curiosity that grows quickly, winding its way through every interaction. Even without knowing where this will lead, they are drawn to follow it, trusting that whatever is unfolding between them is something neither has found before, and perhaps never will again. Emotional dynamics. Here's where things take on layers, where the connection between a Cancer man and a Gemini woman reveals both its most luminous strengths and its most delicate fault lines. At their core, these two are shaped by forces as different as the Moon and Mercury, and indeed, those are their celestial rulers. For the Cancer man, the Moon is not just a distant silver light in the night sky. It's the pulse of his inner life. His moods shift like lunar phases, sometimes subtle, sometimes dramatic. His emotions are deep, tidal, and tied to a sense of safety that is as essential to him as air. He feels everything with poetic weight, even if he doesn't always articulate it. Love, for him, is an act of devotion, shown in the ways he cares for someone, in his loyalty, in the quiet empathy that lets him feel another's pain as if it were his own. The Gemini woman, by contrast, is lit by Mercury, the planet of communication, thought, and connection. Her emotional world is not barren, far from it, but her feelings tend to flow through the channels of language and reason before they're shared. She processes by talking, by breaking down a problem into its parts, by analyzing how it all fits together. To her, an emotional storm is best navigated with discussion and understanding. To him, the same storm may be weathered with silence and steady presence, allowing the feelings to settle naturally before taking any action. This difference in approach can be both their greatest gift and their most persistent challenge. To the Cancer man, her tendency to intellectualize emotion can feel like she's holding herself at a distance, as though she's skimming across the surface of deeper waters he wishes she would dive into. He might sometimes misread her adaptability and lightness as a lack of depth or commitment to the moment. For the Gemini woman, his intense need for closeness and emotional immersion can feel overwhelming, even suffocating. She's used to a certain amount of personal space, to having the freedom to shift her emotional focus quickly when needed, and his moodiness can seem like a labyrinth she's not sure she wants to navigate every day. When misunderstandings happen, they often come from this mismatch in emotional pacing. She might try to fix something by talking it out right away, while he might retreat to his inner shell, needing quiet to sort through the complex landscape of what he's feeling. Her persistence in those moments can make him feel cornered, his withdrawal can make her feel ignored. Both can end up frustrated, each convinced the other doesn't understand. And yet, when they do meet in the middle, something almost alchemical occurs. He can slow her down in a way no one else can, encouraging her to let conversations breathe, to sit with her feelings without rushing to dissect them. In his presence, she learns that not every question demands an immediate answer, and that sometimes a moment of shared silence can be more healing than 1,000 well-chosen words. In return, she teaches him that emotions need not be a weight to carry alone, that lightness is not the enemy of depth, and that laughter in hard times can be as much an act of love as tears. She can coax him out of emotional ruts with a well-placed joke, a spontaneous outing, or a simple shift in perspective. Where his moods might otherwise pull him inward, she offers a gentle breeze that keeps him from drifting too far into his own waters. This interplay of lunar tides and mercurial winds gives their relationship a rhythm that is rarely static. There are days when their emotional connection is smooth and harmonious, each intuitively sensing the other's needs, the balance between closeness and freedom struck perfectly. And there are days when the wind whips up the sea, creating choppy waves of misunderstanding or mismatched expectations. Yet even in those moments, there is motion, and motion means life. The truth is, their emotional dynamic is a living, evolving thing. It's a constant negotiation between feeling and thinking, between depth and agility, between the quiet pull of the tide and the restless touch of the wind. Some days it feels like a warm breeze over calm waters, others like a sudden squall, but it is never stagnant. And for both of them, that constant movement, the very fact that their connection is alive and changing, is part of what makes it so compelling. When they lean into their differences instead of fighting them, when they see the other's approach not as a flaw but as a complement, the result is a bond that can navigate both calm seas and tempests. He reminds her that vulnerability is not weakness. She shows him that lightness is not carelessness. Together, they write a love story that shifts and grows with the seasons, one where the tide and the wind are not at odds but in conversation, forever moving, forever alive. Long-term compatibility. Longevity between a Cancer man and a Gemini woman rests on something deeper than fleeting attraction or early-stage chemistry. It hinges on their willingness to adapt, to learn, and to embrace the idea that love is not static but ever-evolving. These two come into the relationship carrying natural rhythms that, at first glance, appear almost contradictory. The Cancer man is anchored in the familiar. He builds his life like a craftsman laying bricks, carefully, patiently, creating a safe and stable structure around himself and those he loves. His sense of security comes from routines, traditions, and the comfort of knowing what tomorrow will bring. The Gemini woman, on the other hand, thrives in the changing seasons of life. Her spirit is restless, her mind always seeking new horizons, her heart eager to experience the world's variety. While he finds peace in knowing the plan for the weekend, she comes alive at the thought of a spontaneous detour that turns an ordinary Saturday into an unexpected adventure. This difference is not inherently a problem, but over time, if left unchecked, it can create tension. In a long-term setting, these differing needs will inevitably surface in ways that require careful handling. He might envision a future filled with cozy weekends at home, cooking together, watching the same favorite movies year after year, and maintaining family traditions with unwavering consistency. She might wake up one morning with the urge to book a last-minute road trip or change the furniture layout just for the thrill of it. Without mutual understanding, he may perceive her spontaneity as instability, while she may see his stability as stagnation. The risk here is subtle but real. If neither is willing to meet the other halfway, frustration begins to seep in. The Cancer man might start feeling as though his home, his sanctuary, is being disrupted by her unpredictable nature. The Gemini woman might begin to feel confined, like her wings are being clipped in favor of a life too tightly bound to predictability. The key to avoiding this trap lies in balance, and balance requires intentionality. If the Cancer man can reframe adventure as a shared experience that strengthens their bond rather than a threat to their security, he opens himself to a world where the unknown becomes part of the joy of being together. Likewise, if the Gemini woman can view moments of stillness and routine not as limitations but as opportunities for emotional connection, she begins to see that quiet can be just as fulfilling as movement. Over the years, something interesting often happens in strong Cancer-Gemini partnerships. The Gemini woman, initially wary of settling too deeply into one place or one rhythm, starts to find unexpected comfort in his steady devotion. The home he builds, whether it's a literal house or a metaphorical sense of belonging, becomes a safe launching pad for her adventures. She learns that she can explore the world precisely because she has a constant to return to. Meanwhile, the Cancer man discovers that her curiosity and appetite for new experiences keep their relationship alive in ways he never imagined. She ensures that their love doesn't become a closed loop, repeating the same patterns until all the color drains out. She brings in fresh perspectives, new ideas, and sometimes even challenges to his beliefs, all of which keep him engaged and growing. The secret is that it's never about changing each other into something they're not. A Gemini woman who tries to suppress her need for variety will feel diminished. A Cancer man who abandons his love for stability will feel adrift. Instead, the goal is to weave stability and spontaneity into the same fabric, creating a life where her freedom and his security coexist not just peacefully, but in a way that actively strengthens the relationship. Over time, they can become each other's best teachers. She shows him that unpredictability can bring joy, that the unfamiliar can lead to some of life's best memories. He shows her that commitment doesn't mean confinement, that depth can be just as thrilling as novelty. Together, they can craft a shared rhythm that doesn't erase their differences but instead celebrates them. In the end, long-term compatibility between a Cancer man and a Gemini woman is a story of mutual respect and adaptability. It's about creating a shared life where each person's natural way of being is honored, yet both are willing to stretch beyond their comfort zones. When they succeed, their relationship becomes a rare blend, one part safe harbor, one part open sea, a place where love can anchor deeply while still setting sail toward the horizon. Communication conflict resolution. This is the arena where the Gemini woman's natural talents truly come to the forefront, yet also the place where some of the deepest misunderstandings between her and the Cancer man can emerge if they're not careful. She is ruled by Mercury, the planet of intellect, language, and mental agility, which gifts her with a remarkable ability to put thoughts into words. Whether the topic is lighthearted or emotionally charged, she can navigate it with verbal dexterity. When a problem arises, her instinct is to face it head-on, not with confrontation, but with conversation. She believes that if two people keep the lines of communication open, there's very little they can't overcome. Her strength lies in her capacity to articulate feelings before they become tangled, to brainstorm solutions on the spot, and to keep dialogue moving so that issues don't calcify into resentment. For her, a conversation is like fresh air in a stuffy room. It clears out the tension, even if the solution isn't immediate. She values speed in communication, not because she's impatient, but because she fears the damage that silence and avoidance can do. The Cancer man, however, is wired differently. Ruled by the moon, he processes everything through the tides of his emotions before his mind can catch up. This means that when something hurts or upsets him, his first instinct isn't to speak, it's to retreat. He needs to feel the weight of the emotion, turn it over in his mind, and understand its roots before he can translate it into words. For him, rushing to talk before that inner process is complete feels premature, even unsafe. This difference in processing speed is one of the fundamental points where their communication styles can clash. During conflicts, she might be ready to talk it out immediately, eager to dissect the problem and search for common ground. He, in contrast, may be halfway into his emotional shell, not because he wants to shut her out, but because he's still trying to understand what he feels and why. From her perspective, his silence can feel like stonewalling or even indifference. From his perspective, her rapid-fire approach can feel overwhelming, like being pushed to swim before he's caught his breath. If neither understands the other's instincts, these moments can escalate unnecessarily. The Gemini woman's persistence might make him dig deeper into his retreat, while his withdrawal might prompt her to push harder, convinced that the only way forward is to keep talking until something breaks open. This dynamic can turn a small misunderstanding into a larger conflict simply because their pacing is misaligned. And yet, there is enormous potential here for growth, if they're willing to adjust. The key is not to force one person to adopt the other's natural style completely, but to create a shared rhythm that respects both. For her, this means learning the value of pause, of letting silence do its work, of allowing him the time he needs to process without interpreting it as rejection. For him, it means committing to re-emerging from his shell in a reasonable time frame, to reassure her that the conversation will happen and that her concerns are being heard. When they find this middle ground, their differences in communication can become a powerful complement. Her agility keeps the relationship from getting stuck in unspoken grievances, while his depth ensures that the words they exchange are rooted in genuine understanding, not just quick fixes. She teaches him that sometimes it's okay to address an issue before every detail has been analyzed. He teaches her that allowing emotions to settle can lead to more thoughtful and lasting resolutions. Together, they can develop a unique system of conflict resolution that draws on the best of both worlds. A disagreement might start with a brief exchange where she expresses her perspective and he shares just enough to acknowledge he's listening. Then they part for a short time, he to reflect, she to temper her impatience, before coming back together for a deeper discussion. In this way, their natural styles create a two-step process, quick acknowledgement followed by considered resolution. Over time, this dance of words and pauses, of expression and reflection, becomes one of the defining strengths of their relationship. They learn to trust each other's methods instead of fearing them. She understands that his retreat isn't abandonment but preparation. He understands that her urge to talk isn't nagging but an expression of care. The result is a communication style that is richer than either could create alone. Her Mercury-driven swiftness keeps emotional storms from lingering too long overhead. His moon-guided depth ensures that when the skies clear, they do so with real healing, not just the illusion of it. In this balance of wind and tide, their conflicts become not rifts but opportunities, moments to deepen their understanding, strengthen their trust, and reaffirm that even when they don't speak the same emotional language at the same speed, they are still, without question, speaking to each other. Physical intimate connection. In the physical realm, the connection between a Cancer man and a Gemini woman can hold far more depth and nuance than one might expect from such contrasting personalities. For the Cancer man, intimacy is never just a physical act. It is an extension of his deepest emotions, a language he speaks with touch, closeness, and unspoken gestures that carry the weight of his feelings. He approaches physical connection as a way of expressing love, commitment, and emotional safety. In his mind, the body and heart are inseparable. One cannot thrive without the other. Without a genuine emotional bond, physical encounters feel hollow to him, like an unfinished story without its final chapter. For him, the act of intimacy is layered. It begins long before the bedroom, with small touches in the kitchen, lingering glances across a room, the warmth of holding hands during a quiet evening walk. These moments are the prelude, the slow build that makes the physical union not only pleasurable but profoundly meaningful. The Cancer man thrives when he feels emotionally secure with his partner. That security allows him to open himself completely, to give without reservation, and to create an atmosphere of tenderness and trust. The Gemini woman approaches intimacy from a different but equally valuable perspective. While she may not naturally lean into the same emotional intensity he does, she brings with her a spark that can light up the physical side of their relationship. She is curious, adaptable, and endlessly imaginative. For her, intimacy is an adventure, a playground of connection where she can explore, experiment, and keep the experience fresh. She's unafraid to try new things, whether that means introducing playful spontaneity, varying the setting, or surprising her partner with something unexpected. This sense of exploration can be exactly what the Cancer man needs to break free from the comfort zones that, while safe, can sometimes become predictable. She has a way of turning even familiar experiences into something exciting, infusing them with laughter, playfulness, and a lightness that reminds him intimacy can be joyous as well as profound. Her openness invites him to experiment without fear of judgment, to discover that variety does not threaten emotional connection, it can actually deepen it. When these two align, the results can be extraordinary. His emotional depth adds layers of meaning to every touch, making her feel cherished and valued in ways she might not have experienced before. In turn, her imaginative spark keeps their physical life from becoming stagnant, ensuring that passion remains alive even years into the relationship. Together, they create a dynamic where intimacy is both a source of emotional renewal and physical excitement. In their best moments, she helps him see that love-making can be spontaneous, playful, and lighthearted without losing its soul. He helps her understand that intimacy can be more than just pleasure or novelty. It can be a profound act of vulnerability and connection. These lessons, once exchanged, have the power to make their physical bond one of the most balanced aspects of their relationship. Over time, this balance can become a deeply stabilizing force for them both. For the Cancer man, knowing that his partner values both his emotional needs and her own sense of adventure creates a trust that runs to the core. For the Gemini woman, realizing that she can explore and innovate while still feeling deeply loved and emotionally anchored gives her the freedom she craves without sacrificing closeness. In the physical realm, they are not simply opposites meeting halfway. They are complementary forces creating something richer than either could achieve alone. His tenderness softens her edges, her playfulness lifts his depths. Together, they blend soulfulness and excitement into a physical and intimate connection that is as nourishing as it is thrilling, ensuring that this part of their relationship remains a source of joy, renewal, and unspoken understanding for years to come. Shared values, life goals. In the realm of shared values and long-term ambitions, the pairing of a Cancer man and a Gemini woman can feel like a puzzle that doesn't seem to fit at first glance, but when the right pieces click into place, it forms a picture far more beautiful than either could have imagined. A Cancer man is a creature of roots. He finds comfort in stability, tradition, and the quiet satisfaction of building something lasting, whether that something is a home, a family, or a life plan that unfolds predictably. Security is not just a preference for him, it's a core need, like the air he breathes. He is future-focused in a grounded way, preferring to lay a strong foundation before leaping into new ventures. He envisions a life where every step is deliberate, every choice is meaningful, and every investment of time and energy pays dividends in emotional and practical security. The Gemini woman, however, lives by the wind. She thrives on freedom, adaptability, and the richness of varied experiences. Her sense of purpose comes not from building one steady structure over decades, but from collecting stories, ideas, and adventures that make life feel like an ever-changing landscape. She doesn't view change as instability. She sees it as growth, evolution, and the very essence of living. Too much structure can feel suffocating to her, not because she rejects responsibility, but because she fears that predictability might dull her curiosity and lock her into a life that no longer excites her. On the surface, these two value systems may seem at odds, his desire for an anchored harbor versus her longing for open seas. But if they look deeper, they can discover a surprising number of overlapping values that can form the core of their shared life. Both, for instance, can value loyalty, though they express it differently. He demonstrates it through steadfast presence and unwavering commitment, while she shows it by returning, again and again, to the people and connections that truly matter, no matter how far her adventures take her. Another common thread is curiosity about life. While his curiosity may be more inward and focused on nurturing meaningful bonds, and hers may be outward, chasing new ideas and experiences, both seek growth, just in different arenas. This means they can inspire each other rather than compete, if they learn to appreciate that their differences are complementary rather than contradictory. He can find joy in seeing the world through her eyes, experiencing places, people, and moments he might have missed on his own. She can discover the beauty of stability, realizing that not all growth requires movement. Sometimes the deepest changes happen when you stay rooted. The real work for them comes when discussing big-picture life goals. Where will they live? Will they prioritize travel or a forever home? How will they balance careers, family aspirations, and personal projects? If they can openly negotiate these questions without trying to erase each other's core values, they stand a strong chance of long-term harmony. The Cancer man doesn't have to give up his dream of a secure nest. It can simply be a nest with open windows, letting in the fresh air of her adventures. The Gemini woman doesn't have to give up her desire for freedom. It can simply be freedom with a home base, knowing she has a safe place and loving partner to return to. In this dynamic, his thriving depends on knowing she will always come home to him, emotionally and physically, no matter where her curiosity takes her. Her flourishing depends on knowing he won't try to clip her wings, but instead will cheer for her successes, share in her adventures, and sometimes even join her in them. When these assurances are clear and mutual, their differences become assets. His steadiness becomes her anchor, her adaptability becomes his sail. Over time, they may find that their shared values are less about identical desires and more about mutual respect for each other's needs. The Cancer man learns that freedom doesn't threaten love. The Gemini woman learns that stability doesn't mean stagnation. When they work toward life goals as co-authors rather than competitors, they create a relationship that blends the best of two worlds, a safe, nurturing home life paired with the freedom to explore, dream, and grow. In that balance, they can build not just a shared future, but a shared adventure that neither would have found alone. Final thoughts. The love story between a Cancer man and a Gemini woman defies the neat, predictable patterns that many other relationships follow, and it's exactly this unpredictability that gives their connection such a unique and magnetic quality. It's not the kind of romance where every chapter is pre-written or every turn is mapped out in advance. Instead, theirs is a journey full of surprises, a dance between two very different rhythms that somehow find moments of perfect harmony amid the contrasts. For the Cancer man, love is something he tends to guard and cultivate with care, like a precious garden that grows best when tended daily. For the Gemini woman, love is a wind that should move freely through life, changing direction when needed, carrying the scent of new adventures. These two views could so easily clash, creating frustration and misunderstandings, yet they also hold the seeds of something truly extraordinary. When they choose to lean into their differences instead of resisting them, magic happens. His presence gives her an anchor, a safe harbor where she knows she will always be accepted and loved no matter how far her curiosity takes her. Her spirit gives him wings, not to escape, but to rise above his own emotional tides and see life from a broader, more adventurous perspective. Together, they blend stability and spontaneity into a single love story, proving that it's not about finding someone who mirrors you perfectly, but someone whose differences expand your world. This is not a connection for the faint of heart. It requires patience, the kind that waits without resentment when he needs time to process his feelings, or when she's chasing an idea that pulls her in 100 directions. It demands compromise, not the sort that erases individuality, but the kind that says, I see who you are, and I'm willing to meet you halfway because you matter to me. And it asks for courage, the courage to step out of one's comfort zone, to try new approaches, and to trust that love can survive even when the map of the relationship is still being drawn. The rewards for such dedication are as vast as they are beautiful. In the best versions of this pairing, their life together feels like a blend of moonlit nights and golden mornings, moments of deep, soulful connection followed by bursts of light-hearted joy. There is the sanctuary of his arms after a long day, and the thrill of her unexpected invitation to pack a bag and go somewhere new on a whim. There is the quiet confidence of knowing they have each other's backs, and the bright excitement of knowing tomorrow could bring something entirely unplanned. Ultimately, the Cancer man and Gemini woman have the potential to write a love story that is both a safe haven and a grand adventure. It may not be smooth sailing every day, but it's precisely in navigating the storms together that their bond strengthens. In learning to embrace both the anchor and the wings, they discover that love isn't about choosing between safety and freedom. It's about creating a space where both can coexist, flourish, and keep the relationship alive for years, even decades, to come.